In what world, under what conditions, does not liking a particular type of clothing provide evidence for being the wrong gender? I borrow this question from Judith Butler to demonstrate how through defining gender by things such as clothes, queer art failure can occur in fiction. According to Judith Jack Halberstam, queer art failure occurs in fiction when the queer subject or the queer content claims to challenge stereotypes and dominant systems of ideas regarding gender, but fails to do this. These texts end up relying on closed narratives and simplistic ways of narrating, and they end up failing to raise the kinds of questions necessary to push people's understandings of gender beyond the realm of male and female. My thesis examines fictional texts that represent the lives and experiences of trans people and challenges the problematic modes of representation within these texts. I use the word trans here and throughout the rest of this presentation as the wider, more encompassing and more accepted form of the umbrella term transgender. Many contemporary works of fiction depicting trans experience seek to create characters who are sympathetic to the reader, who resist negative associations of otherness, monstrosity, and perversity. These texts give the appearance of celebrating the diverse ways it is possible to experience queer gender, but they actually collaborate with the very stereotypes they claim to resist. Many texts rely on narrow conventional parameters for both representation and narrative. As a result, these texts fail to open up a space for thinking about the messiness, the complexity of gender. Texts such as The Danish Girl tend to avoid the subject of sexuality, and they often represent characters as, say, a child or as two people fighting to live in the same body. Many authors also choose to represent their characters as having mental health issues or as being victims to violence, prejudice, and harassment. Individually, these texts seem to make important and sympathetic statements about what it means to be trans. However, collectively, they form a reductive, one-dimensional approach to understanding queer gender. Together, these texts imply that to be trans is to be undesired, to be mentally unwell, to have a double identity, to be treated as a child, or even worse, to be a victim. I hope through my research to expose these issues of representation and encourage more complex thinking regarding the nature of gender. Thank you.